Yeah, so the Romani Studies Program at CEU, it's something new, but as I said, CEU had always a very strong component on Roma. So over the years, CEU had the Roma English language program, then they had the Roma Access programs, and slowly, CEU became an academic hub for Romani studies. We also have a journal, a critical Romani studies journal, which is one of the quite most significant, I would say, journals on Romani studies in Europe, publishing Romani.
Welcome to the Amaro Voice podcast. Amaro is from the Romani language and means our. Our Roma Sinti and Shora voices among Europe. Today, I will interview Simona Torotcoi from the CEU Romani Studies. Hello, Simona Torotcoi. Thank you for your time.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself and also the CEU Romani Studies?
Hello, everyone. My name is Simona Torotcoi. I'm a Roma from Romania, and since 2011, I have joined Central European University. I was a student within the Roma Access program at that time, and since 2015, I'm a tutor in the Roma Graduate Preparation Program.
Mhm. Thank you. So, can you give us an overview of the CEU Romani Studies program and its main goals? How does it contribute to Romani empowerment and academic research?
Yeah, so the Romani Studies program at CEU, it's something new, but as I said, CEU had always a very strong component on Roma. So over the years, CEU had the Roma English language program, then they had the Roma Access programs, and slowly, CEU became an academic hub for Romani studies. We also have a journal, a critical Romani studies journal, which is one of the quite most significant, I would say, journals on Romani studies in Europe, publishing Romani, but also non-Romani scholars and academic activists on different topics. So that's one of the components as well. But the CEU Romani Studies also contribute significantly to the wider CEU community, because there are several Romani, and there have been several Romani teachers and professors at CEU over the last years. Angela Kotze, Julius Rostash, and many who have joined just for short courses. Ethel Brooks, she was teaching the summer courses at CEU. So CEU became a hub for Romani studies. As I said, professors, different courses were taught at CEU on Roma. Violeta Zenta had a course on Roma inclusion policies. I took that course when I was a student at CEU. And over the years, as I said, things have developed quite nicely. And now CEU the Romani Studies program has also an advanced certificate for students at CEU, Roma, non-Roma as well, who are interested in knowing more about Roma, and they have specific curricula. And every year, at the end of the academic year, the students who are taking this advanced certificate in Romani Studies are presenting their work. And as I said, the Roma Graduate Preparation Program, it's also a significant component, because different Roma students across Europe have the opportunity to study and to prepare with English language, with academic writing, with tailored tutorial classes in a discipline of their choice. And that's, for me, that's a milestone, because also I was part of that program, as I said, more than 10 years ago, and it had a significant impact on my career, on my professional development, but also on the human being I am today.
Thanks for watching us. If you want to support us, you can like this video and give us a comment. And to not miss our episodes, you can subscribe our YouTube channel. If you are watching or listening right now on Spotify or listen on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, you can follow our podcast. To get all information from us, go and follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Amaro Voice. So, what role does Romani language and cultural play in the curriculum, and how is it integrated with broader social and political studies?
That's a very good question. So again, I will talk mainly from my perspective. When I started, to study at CEU, I came from Romania. There was not much taught at the university level about Roma, not even in schools as well. But if there was rather racist or stereotypical. So when I came to CEU, the first few weeks we had Romani history and language classes. And it was such a nice opportunity to learn from key important scholars. We had Saimit Mile and Marcel Curtiade, Professor Marcel Curtiade, teaching us Romani language. And that was just a very good way to show that, okay, there are differences among Roma, but there are so many commonalities that we all share as Roma culture and language. So the Romani Studies Program has been very careful in integrating language, history, Roma leadership and identity classes in seminars and all sorts of events in the curricula. And again, throughout the years, this has changed significantly. In a few years ago, Romani language classes were mandatory for the students, but now it's on a voluntary basis because many of them are speaking Romani language at home. So I mean, it's a bit awkward for them to learn something that they were born with. But I think for students from Spain, for example, or from Hungary that didn't have the chance to learn the language or to know what's Romani language about, this class is very attractive. And on the other side, in addition to Romani language, we also have Roma leadership and identity seminars. So here students, watch films about Roma or explore different sorts of dynamics, debates related to Roma identity, who is Roma, who is not, what does it mean to be a mixed Roma, because also students come with their own experiences. So as I said, overall, I think the program is quite attentive to make sure that some Roma components are integrated in the curricula. And also we as tutor, as I said, I'm tutoring students in public policy. I also try to make the classes relevant and discuss about Roma inclusion policies, the national Roma integration strategies or inclusion strategies, and just to show that, there is so much that you can study beyond the classical things that we learned, as I said, in our previous studies and university.
So, how does CEU Romani Studies engage with Romani communities beyond the university? Are there collaborative projects or community partnerships?
Yes, I think over the last years, again, this took different shapes. So because the program is based in Hungary, in Budapest, with some travel in Vienna, there were a lot of community visits to Hungarian Roma communities. But also I remember maybe in 2016-17, there was a very nice initiative that some Norwegian authorities have asked the Romani Studies Program to support or to consult actually on some Roma migration matters in the Nordic countries. And students went there and they did the research. They talked with the Roma themselves, who were in the situation, and they had to write a report. So it's trying to bring an academic angle to the Roma communities, to say so. But also, what I could experience is that there are different small projects in which students are asked to work together on designing an event. I think quite recently we had an event on Roma women and economic empowerment and their participation in the labor market. So there are different sorts of collaborations with Roma NGOs again, just because the program is based in Hungary, Roma students have visits to different organizations in Budapest, the Romani Design, Roma Versitas, the tours with UTSU Foundation as well. So I think that there's quite a strong of community engagement in Budapest. But as I said, sometimes also outside of Hungary. And we always encourage students to attend or to take part in different international Romani seminars or trainings or different professional development opportunities, because we strongly believe that would benefit a lot of students, especially those who are not sure about their identity, right? Because in many cases, and again, maybe I can speak from my perspective, when I was in high school, I was not so confident, not so proud of my Romani identity. So I think the program is aware that, not necessarily to force this identity on the students, but to expose them to see, what are the different kind of dynamics, approaches, and so on. Yeah.
What are some common misconceptions or gaps in knowledge about Roma that the program aims to address?
I think there's a lot, and whenever we read some text or whenever students work on some papers, and then they look at what has been written about the subject, we see many times very stereotypical portrayals on Roma, and also rather racist research on Roma. So I think the role of the program in general, it's also to deconstruct the way Roma have been framed in research, in knowledge production, how they have been perceived in knowledge production, because before we were rather subjects of non-Roma scholars doing research on Roma. But now I think we bring an innovative approach on how research with and on Roma should be done, because we are Roma ourselves. We know what does that mean. And we also bring more sensitivity to the topic. And there's a lot. Again, my focus is on education policy, so I know a bit what are the dynamics there. And I see, many times that scholars don't really understand why Roma are in the situation where they are in when it comes to education. Yeah, so they blame many times Roma parents. They blame, the lack of motivation or the lack of aspirations of young Roma to achieve a certain education status. But many times they don't look, what's happening inside the schools, the universities, in the educational system in general. So I think there's a lot, and I'm very happy to say that over the last years, we have so many students that became engaged in different topics that before maybe were not so Roma specific, to say so, right? So we have somebody who is doing amazing job on environmental racism. We know that Roma are heavily affected by, forced evictions or segregated Roma neighborhoods. And many times, these neighborhoods are placed in certain areas that affect their health and well-being and living conditions in general. Yeah, so that's one area. Then we have students who are interested in security issues and diplomacy. So it's becoming a very nice place where students approach different topics, and also business as well, and data science and history as well. A new kind of lens to researching Roma history and the fate of Roma in different historical periods. So I think, of course, we are a social science program. So we don't really get into natural sciences or, exact sciences, science, technology, and mathematics, and so on. But in the social science discipline, I think, and again, I'm going a bit backwards, because if we look at who are the key scholars or even practitioners on Roma issues, most of these people are coming from Central European University. And it's not to brag, but I think whenever there is some Roma-related event, I know the Roma Week, let's say, you will meet there for sure a significant number of Romani Studies program alumni. So that also shows, both their academic trajectory, but also their professional trajectory and the way they contribute and also challenge what's already out there on Roma.
Learning Romani language. So on Amaro Voice, we have the rubric called Learning Romani Language. So where we would like to share with our guests the different dialects. So first, I would like to ask you: do you speak the Romani language? And if yes, which dialect do you speak? But also in the Romani communities, when you speak about dialects, this also means that you belong to this kind of Romani community.
Yeah, so I don't speak Romani language. We haven't spoke Romani language at home, and maybe I can share this because I think it's something that many would relate to. So in my family, my mother would speak with my grandmother just to hide things from us. So it was not necessarily a language of communication, but whenever they had to share something more private, they would use Romani language. But I started to learn Romani language while I was in my bachelor studies. And this was mainly because at that time we established a Roma youth organization in Baia Mare in Romania. And with the help of that organization, we could bring Professor Gheorghe Sarău and teach Romani language course. Of course, it was mainly Roma who took the class, and also people outside the university who would join. So I started to learn Romani language there, and then, as I said, when I came to CEU, I was exposed to the courses of Marcel Curtia din Saint Mile. And now I'm living in Macedonia. So my family in Macedonia speaks Romani language. They have the Kovac dialect. So that might be a good background to say so.
So my dialect is called Arli. It's a dialect which is spoken in the Balkan countries like Serbia, North Macedonia, Kosovo, and maybe also some migrated Roma because of the Balkan wars in Western Europe. So let's just try. If it's not possible every word, it's also no problem to share the differences, or maybe it's also sometimes the similar. And also in my dialect, we use a lot of Turkish and Serbian words. So the first word is white.
Parno, parni.
Yeah, the same. So we also parno parni. So the second word is apple.
Pabai.
Yeah, also papai. And then the last word, not only word, we use also phrases for what are you doing.
But how do you say how are you doing?
What are you doing? We say sokere, but also
sokere, yes.
others say socere or socerea.
Yeah,
If
we
you
say
want,
sokeres.
okay. So this was learning Romani language. Learning Romani language. Could you share some examples of research or projects led by the students or faculty that have had a real world impact?
So maybe I can connect this a bit with what I'm doing also as my second job, to say so. So now I'm working for something called Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Descent, which is a global solidarity network of Roma, Dalits, and other similarly discriminated communities. And last year, for example, we had two students from CEU, Roma students from CEU, alumni of the program, who have been doing some country research on the situation of Roma women and youth in specific sustainable development goals and human rights work as well. And I'm very happy to say that, I feel like CEU students are quite well prepared in doing research, in shaping, concrete policy recommendations, in spotting key challenges and issues. So we have these two reports from North Macedonia, Bulgaria, but also Hungary. Actually, it's three CEU alumni. And, we try with this research to advocate for policy changes. So we have met with OSCE in North Macedonia. We have presented some of the reports. And, it's not that this research is going to make significant changes or, change completely some policies. But most of the times, the fact that you have very strong research document, in this case, we speak about non-academic research, of course, but it contributes as a very good basis to do advocacy, and we were speaking specifically about the lack of identity documents, how many Roma don't have birth certificates, identity documents. And I think, these small steps can make an impact. I also was very proud that in 2017, I wrote a very nice paper with somebody from the Roma Education Fund, Stella Garas, and we were looking at how inequalities are reproduced in higher education, especially in the case of Roma students. So our theory was that it depends very much on the parental level of education, of course, socioeconomic background. And our argument was that most of the times, even though there are affirmative action programs for Roma in many Central Eastern European countries, like reserve seats, quotas, and whatnot, we see that most of the times Roma students are pushed to select certain types of fields of study, like pedagogy, social work. And it's not necessarily that they want to study this, but the system kind of, channels them towards this. And this has a significant impact in terms of employability of the students, like what types of jobs they can do, because very few of them would go to health, to exact sciences, which are, more valuable in terms of employment and job returns, right? So this research was cited by European Commission in one of their reports. But again, these are small victories, but I don't have an example. As I said, I think it's not even possible to think of an example that has changed completely some policies. But what's also good, I think, to mention is that most of the times, and we have to be very open about this, most of the times research that comes from Roma, either you are a fully exceptional academic, is not perceived as objective research, because you are Roma, you are subjective, so you tend to portray the things in a different manner than they are. And this is one, but also I think other scholars see the Roma research as less scientific than the mainstream research. So I think there's also an issue on how do we make, we say, epistemic justice to the Roma communities and ensure that, their contribution to knowledge production is valuable, perceived in the, policy-making sphere, let's say.
How does the program support Romani students in navigating higher education, considering many face systemic barriers?
Yeah, so, this Romani Roma Graduate Preparation Program, it's actually a bridge program. Yeah, it's a preparatory program supporting Roma students who want to study at international master programs. So it's just like a midpoint, to say so, trying to prepare them, as I said, with English, academic writing, all sorts of very technical aspects, to say so. So that's one component. But I think also the fact that there's a very nice Roma community at CEU, like alumni, people who have studied a few years ago. Some people are working in the staff of the university, so not academic positions, but staff support. So I think the fact that there is a very nice Roma community at CEU gives a very good feeling to the students that, okay, I'm not alone in this environment. And I think, or at least seeing from previous years' experiences, that once they get accepted into these international master programs, being it in Switzerland, in Sweden, in Lithuania, I think we even had some students, and of course in US now we have two Bulgarian alumni studying in US. So I think that once they make it, they are much more comfortable, and you can see that they are confident and able, they don't have anymore this feeling like, oh, I'm not smart enough or I cannot make it, but they gain the confidence and the strength to succeed.
What challenges does the field of Romani studies face academically and socially, and how is CEU working to overcome them?
Oh, I think we have to look also at the broader challenges nowadays when it comes to minorities, to human rights, to social inclusion. So that's the bigger kind of context we should be aware of. But I think overall, there's a nice, promising landscape of Romani studies across Europe, because we see different universities having Romani studies programs. We see more and more, as I said, Romani professors and academics. And I'm very proud to say that we have so many, I mean, not so many, but quite a high number of Roma PhD students nowadays, which are not so visible. But I think that's a very nice development considering the number of Roma in higher education in general. So challenges, of course, there are, and I think one of them is the funding and how these departments of Romani studies are positioned in different universities. The limited attention they are given by the university management. And again, I can speak about Romania. In Romania, in Bucharest, we also have something which is supposed to be an institute of Romani studies, but focusing more on a historical perspective. But this is led by non-Roma, right? So there's also this still colonization of the Gace, even though that should be a space dedicated for Roma scholars and professionals to lead.
Looking forward, what are your hopes for the future of Romani studies and for Roma communities in Europe and globally?
I mean, my personal dream would be to create a virtual Roma university, and there have been several attempts to do this, but I think a quite inclusive virtual university with different courses, with resources, and I think this can be. I mean, you don't have to start it from scratch, because different Roma NGOs have put together a very solid basis. Yeah, there's the Digital Feminist Library, there is ERIAC with some courses, or the academy that they have. There are so many NGOs, like the virtual museums in many countries. So there's so many resources, that we can bring all together in one place and create something like a virtual university. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think that would be something quite significant and accessible also to Roma who are outside of Europe, because we tend to limit ourselves, mainly on the European continent, but in Latin America, like a significant Roma movement, to say so, and also scholars that have been even. They were coming to see you for summer schools or fellowships to study Roma-related aspects. So the future, I'm not sure honestly how this will go, but as I said, it's very much context dependent on the social political trends that we are experiencing these days.
Mhm. Thank you. So we are almost coming to the end. So on our podcast, we like to ask our guests about their anecdotes. Is there any anecdotes, like a story you would like to share with us? Can be from your work, but also something combined with the CEU Romani Studies?
No, I'm just thinking that there are so many incidents nowadays with school segregation, and it's becoming. I know everybody speaks about it, but we don't have very strong tools how to address this and how to put an end to school segregation and how to promote desegregation measures and policies. And this is it's something that really bothers me deeply, right? Because if one studies in a segregated school, the future of that young person, it's very limiting. And we see that more and more young people drop out of school. They don't have access to quality education that can support them to move forward. And I feel like less and less young Roma are able to continue to higher education and take this academic path, to say so, which is not something bad, because of course everybody can choose to do what they want. But I think we as a movement, we need educated people, thinkers, people who can give direction to the Roma movement. And on the other side, something that also bothers me, is the lack of Roma representation in textbooks, in curricula. And also, I think a few days ago, there was another incident in Macedonia that Roma were negatively, stereotypically, racistly portrayed in textbooks. And I think that also contributes to the way anti-Gypsyism is being reproduced and perpetuated. And even though, the Council of Europe and several other organizations have spoken about this, we see that many countries are not willing to take this serious, and address diverse representation of Roma in textbooks, and also fair representation. We don't need, a whole book chapter on Roma, but just to be fairly represented, right? On the same level with other minorities or ethnic groups, and in the same way with whatever the subject brings in.
Thank you for your time. Do you have any closing words?
I thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope the listeners of this podcast will enjoy it, and good luck with your work.
Thank you. Thanks for watching or listening. Ciao and devlesa. This podcast is funded by der Stiftung Erinnerung, Verantwortung und Zukunft EVZ as part of the project Amaro Voice, digitale Bildungsarbeit über die Communities der europäischen Institution Roma bei der NGO Medien- und Kulturzentrum Deutscher Roma e.V.